Greetings and welcome to what is Kantai Collection, the game that you might or might not have heard of, depending on how much you browse on the internet and how much you watch anime and image boards and a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway, this game has quite literally taken Japan by storm, not because it's super good or anything, but mostly because it's got cute girls dressed up as ships that pretend to be, well, quite literally naval battles, and it's really a simplistic game, but you know how it is in Japan over there. You replace something with a cute girl that is a representation of that thing, and you suddenly have a winning game over there. But anyway, without further ado, this is not a video on how to get it running, how to install it, or how to even register to have a game on there. That you can pretty much go to a link I have put down there in the description that will take you to the wiki that will show you how to do everything step by step. Just take into consideration that DMM, the company that owns the IP, holds the right to ban any account that they detect to be playing outside of Japan. Like, literally, people have gotten their accounts banned just because they are playing from outside of Japan. So it is a little bit on the tricky side to be able to play this game constantly without being cut in, so on and so forth. But as long as you accept that, feel free to play it. So now with all that out of the way, let's start diving into the game, shall we? Okay, so apart from this being the main screen you're going to be seeing most of the time when you log in, let's talk about the bar here at the top. Let's start with the very top. As you can see up here, we have our account name. This is just a giant bar that will let you pretty much see everything that you have in your room currently. And if you're into any of the menus that have it available, it'll take you back here. But anyway, this is account name, your current account level. No idea what this little symbol here means. This is the amount of fleets you currently have. I do believe 4 is the maximum number of fleets you can have, regardless of what you do. The current number of ship girls you have, whether they are locked so that you don't accidentally destroy them or not. Instant repair materials, probably the most valuable thing in the game, especially once you start getting battleships and carriers. You will underestimate how valuable these things are. And development materials. You need these in order to research new ships, new equipment, and you can need anywhere from up to 100 of them, depending on what you're trying to get with large ship construction. But we'll go into that later in the game, well, in the video. Now, down here, first, this is our...
You got mail! Love letter は許さないからね!
Yeah, well, anyway, this is your Admiral page, technically speaking. Now, it is divided into a lot of sections, so let's go over them relatively quickly. Right here is your sortie percentage, and so total number of sorties, total number of defeats, your ratio. This ratio is important during certain events because during events you're required to have a certain win ratio minimum. I believe it's somewhere around 30% in order to be able to participate in those events. Now that shouldn't be a problem, considering I've only lost 27 out of 1,200 and something. It should not be that hard. Now down here, these are your expeditions. These are the expeditions you've done, expeditions that have failed, and your expedition success rate. And over here is just your PvP, the amount of battles you've done, your victories, and your win ratio. That's really all there is to it. Now here you can set up a message. However, because of what I just told you that they can ban anything outside of Japan because they want to, you may want to leave this empty. Because if you put something outside that is not Japanese or that seems off, some people may complain that there's somebody from outside of Japan playing the game and you may get banned, and you don't want that. But anyway, on to over here. Here we have the maximum amount of fleets you can have. This is not what you currently have. This is what the maximum, I think. This is your current repair docks. No, your current construction yards. Your current repair docks. The number of ship girls. Again, the amount of equipment you currently have. The furniture you have. And your server name. There are several servers. I picked this one because it was empty. Not sure what that says, but that's what it is. Now down here, this is the amount of fleets you currently have, the amount of ship growers you can have as a maximum, the amount, how many ship growers you can upgrade your maximum by. I believe I'm not really sure about how many you can break that limit, but it does require the real money store. We'll get into that in a little bit. The maximum amount of equipment you can have. This, I'm not really sure what that is. Pen. Not really sure what that is, but probably not that important. However, this one right here, is your resource soft cap. This means that, let's go over resources quickly. Resources regenerate at 3 every 3 minutes for fuel, ammo, and steel, and 1 every 3 minutes for bauxite. The reason for that is bauxite is really only used for development, construction, and in order to resupply airplanes for carriers, which is why you regenerate less. So once something reaches this number, let's take my steel for example, it will no longer regenerate. Well, generate or regenerate past that number. For example, these right here will keep regenerating until they reach 15,000, but steel will not. However, as you can see, this is not a hard limit. You can acquire resources past this limit from expeditions by finding it on sorties or through other means. So that just means that if you don't really want to go on sorties a lot and want to wait until you accumulate a lot of resources and try to build a lot of stuff in one go, should give you an idea how much you have to wait. And this is currently the background music you have. It's what we're listening to right now. It's not that bad, but really that's all there is to it. Now, this right here. This is the not implemented yet friend menu. It is not implemented, so let's not even talk about that. This one right here. This is the girl encyclopedia, let's call it. Now here you can see every single ship girl in the game that you have acquired, and you can click on any of them to hear them talk about their own personal entry in the library, and you can see their normal, their damage states, their remodels, some alternative artwork that they may have for seasons or for any other reason. So let's show you an example. Let's see, where are you? Here we go. So Kuma here and Tama as well have seasonal outfits that you are. So yeah, she says Kuma a lot. But anyway, as you can see, if you click this button, you will hear that again. Here you can see their base stats at level 1. And if you click on the arrow, you will see their general artwork. Close up. And if they have a seasonal artwork like she does, you will also be able to see that as well. Now, I believe, if they have a damaged artwork, I believe Tenryu here has one. You got... Yeah, there we go. So if they've suffered damage during the expedition or sortie, you will be able to see it here as well. And yeah, she also had a summer outfit as well. But really, that is all there is to it. Now, if you are, say, looking for a certain particular girl, and you don't remember who she is, you can always come back here, or you can just here and see your other girls you've seen. As you can see, I'm missing some of the ones here on page 1 in order to completely fill up this first tab here. But speaking of girls, so blue, from what I've understood, is common, gray is uncommon, yellow is rare, and if we head on, let's see, who is... Once you, if you remodel a rare, she will become super rare. I don't think we can see it here yet, but I'll show you that once we actually get into the menus. But that's that. This right here, I believe this is our inventory. Yes, it is. This is our general inventory. This is where some of the things that can drop or that are assigned to you as the Admiral are stored. Not sure what goes here. These are metals. We'll talk about that later. The improvement materials, I still have no use for this, but people have told me that once you unlock a certain ship girl, she can start improving equipment itself, and you require this in order to do it. I don't have her yet, so no idea what that is. Now here we have furniture boxes. They're small, medium, and large, which I currently don't have one. Inside you will find silver coins, so if we want to open it, we should get 400 from this one. And we did. Now these silver coins are only used to buy furniture. Now I'm not sure if you can buy silver coins for real money, but this is really just a small thing here. And furniture is really technically not important, but it's a nice amount of customizability, but it takes quite a bit to get there. Now, these are instant repair buckets, the most valuable item in the game. Fast construction thingamajigs. Depending on the amount of ship, there you can either use one, or you might need 10 for some larger ships, I think. This is development material. You need this to develop anything from ship girls to equipment, and maybe something else, I think? I'm not sure. And here you can have some of the other things. So you have a repair team. I believe over here goes a repair goddess, I think is what it's called. So some of the other random things that you can assign to ship girls. But anyway, moving on to the next one. Welcome to your Furniture Customization tab. Here you will see everything you've unlocked for your room. As you can see, you start with cardboard boxes, which is a little on the sad side. And this one I believe was like 100. This one was around 1,000-ish. So you can go around customizing your room And there's all sorts of things to have here. There's the poster that goes there. You can have nothing if you want. Then there's stuff for over here on the right corner. You can have a slushy machine. You can have a folded up table there with jackets and all sorts of things. And there really is a bunch of stuff in the store that you can buy, but a lot of that is rather expensive. Now, moving on. Which one were we? Are we here? No, not that one. Okay, so that means this one over here. This is your quest log, handled by Oyuro-san there. So as you can see, these are every single quest in the game that you can currently do. There are also daily quests, which are literally the same ones daily. There's weekly quests. Some of them are pretty good. That's actually a very easy one to do, so I'll be doing that this week. And then there's monthly quests. This is the only one I've ever unlocked so far, and because I didn't do PvP that much, I just dabbled into it a little bit, I'll probably never do them. Then there's you can only do these quests once things, such as have certain ships on your fleet, which will unlock certain things. It is within these quests that you will unlock your second, third, and fourth fleets. Now, these quests are in English because I am running it in a third-party program that also acts as a VPN to mask my IP, so that they think I'm playing from Japan. And yeah, so if you play this on the browser, you will see all of these in Japanese. For example, these ones back here, that's what you'll see. And if they're strange quests that don't have a code number next to them, like the ones over here on page 1, it's going to be very difficult to figure out what they are wanting you to do, especially this one right here. What is this? 1,000 of each thing. It's probably pretty difficult. And others, I have no idea what goes there. What is this? Something times 2, something max. No idea what that is, so I'm not even gonna bother. But anyway, this right here, this is this real money store. Yay. So, from what I understand, they use what they call DMM points, and I believe it is 1 point for every 1 yen you spend. And the most important thing here are these right here. These keys allow you to unlock one of either a extra construction slot or a repair dock. And you can have a total of 4 of each. You start with 2 of each. So in order to have your maximum amount of repair and construction, you would have to buy 4. Honestly, the only one I really wish I wanted to buy is the repair docks, because sometimes repairs take so long, but it's not long enough that you want to waste a bucket on them. And But anyway, I believe that should be around $10 for a key. So if you've got an extra $10, there's also a link somewhere in the wiki on how to register your credit card or PayPal or something else on the DMM store. But yeah, that's what it's there. Now down here is this right here. This is where you buy the furniture that you customize in the other tab. So as you can see, if you've got your choice for walls here, your choice for floors. I decided to go with traditional wood there, tatamis I believe. And there's all sorts of crazy things here. For example, you can have a bathtub there. So you can turn your entire office, quote unquote, into a bathroom or bathtub room. However, as you can see down here, this one requires what is called a furniture ferry. I have no idea what quest drops them. I know one does because I've been told so. And no idea how many it requires. Hopefully it's only one, but as you can see, you can pretty much turn your office into anything you want. And there's even that, you can have an entire table, you can turn it into a store, into a takoyaki stand. All sorts of fun things you can have over here. This is the most expensive one for some reason. I have no idea what happens on that chips. No idea. You can have this one if you want to go along with the bathtub you added, but it requires another furniture ferry. You can have a lot of wine there, a jukebox. You can turn it into a classroom if you're so inclined to do so. A fancy... And well, you get the idea, don't you? Anyway, let's get out of here. And lastly, something I already went over is your resources. So you have fuel, ammo, steel, and bauxite. Like I've already mentioned, they regenerate at every 3 minutes. Except for bauxite, which is 1 every 3 minutes. And once it reaches a soft cap, which you can figure out by clicking over here and seeing at the last thing on that, you can see what that is and then decide what you want to do with them. And lastly, here you have the flagship that you've assigned the guru you've assigned as the flagship of your first fleet, and you can click on them. And they will talk. I believe there are 3 different voice lines that they will say every time you click on them randomly, and there is one supposedly when they spend too much time on the screen doing nothing. And I know those exist because I believe Kirishima has one that's pretty interesting, but Other than that, that was it. So now without further ado, let's get into this giant wheel star thingamajig here over here, shall we? Okay, so this giant wheel we have right over here, this is how you access most of the important things in the game itself. This is to go out on stories, that is missions that you see what happens and you advance through them and so on and so forth. This is your fleet menu right here. Here is where you create and manage all of your fleets. If somebody is, say, being repaired, they will have a blue text over here. If they're damaged, they will have, say, damage in Japanese here with a color varying to how damaged they are. And you can assign as little or as many ships as you want, and so on and so forth. And this is relatively important because certain expeditions have certain ship requirements. I'll go over that once we get to them. But then, beneath that, we have our Resupply tab. Here is when any girl comes back from either a sortie or an expedition, they will use up their resources, as you can see over here, fuel and ammo respectively. Now, something you can do is just click here whenever, and you will automatically resupply an entire fleet. However, you may not always want to do that because one of the daily quests is to resupply your ships 15 times. Now, clicking this and resupplying every single one in a fleet will only count as one time. So if you just come back from a fleet, which I'll show you that later, click on one, click this button to resupply them, and off you go. Now, something you may notice is that there is only fuel and ammo. There is no bauxite, and I did mention that carriers like Taiho here require bauxite in order to resupply their planes that were shot down. Now, when you resupply them completely by pressing this button, they resupply bauxite automatically. However, I believe that if you resupply only fuel and then only ammo, they will not resupply bauxite, or something around those lines. So if you have some carriers and you're extremely low on some resources for some reason, you may want to wait on repairing your carrier so that you have enough bauxite to replenish their planes. Otherwise, they're going to be extremely underpowered next time you take them out. Now, this is called the Modernization tab. It is also how you do remodels. But anyway, let's talk about that. Now, modernization is literally the act of, like in or in pretty much every single card game, quote unquote, where you grab the girl, or one something, and you feed other girls that you have copies of into them to increase their stats. The stats that are increased vary from what the girl is, what ship type she is, and her rarity as well. For example, Yukikaze increases one of everything, even though she's only a destroyer because she's rare. And all you gotta do is select which one. It'll tell you here by how much it's going to go up. If you click on here, it'll say, hooray, you did it. However, let's go back here. The reason you want to wait and not do modernization immediately is because, as you will see here, these lines here mean that she has reached her first remodel. Now, when you remodel a ship, that is this button right here, it'll light up and all of her stats will go down to their base stats for that level. And so that means that if you fed over 100 ship girls into them without doing their first remodel, you're basically wasted all those girls because all those stat increases are going to go away. The only time you may want to actually do that is with submarine girls. The reason being that, let me load up my submarine squad here, is because, yes, they don't reach their first remodel until around level 50 or 70, I think. And as you can see, they're level 35 and they are completely maxed out by the little star over here. You can see their stats are completely maxed out in every single sense. Now, there are a few cases where you may want to actually increase that before the remodel for one reason or another, submarines being one of those reasons. For example, if you've already reached their first remodel, aka their first Kai, as in name of the ship - Kai, you may want to feed girls into them, which is what I do. The reason being that their Kai-ni, or their second remodel, usually doesn't happen until around level 70 or higher, which is going to take you quite a bit of time to get there. So if we head on over to the Modernization tab, over here you will see every other ship girl you currently own, whether she is locked or not. So if you have a lot of copies of the same girl, you will also see them here. However, they are arranged by level, which is good. Hold on, wait a second. No, let's see, do I have the girl that I thought I did not have? Apparently I don't. But anyway, so here we go, here's Kirishima. So as you can see, every girl and every ship type has a limit as to their stats. As you can see, battleships have the highest possible firepower in the game before taking into account their equipment. As you can see, because she's a battleship, she has 0 torpedoes, and they will warn you when you've reached the maximum. But they will not warn you if you're feeding into them too much. So if you only need 1 more stat to reach a maximum of something, and you're feeding 5 of a girl into that, it will not warn you that you only need 1 to do so. So you might want to look up on the wiki what each girl's maximum stat is. Now, as you can see, Kirishima already has her first Kai, and unless she reaches level 75, she will not get her second remodel, which is a long ways away. Which is why I've pretty much maxed out everything except her anti-air. And that's usually the advice that is given to pretty much any new player. Do not modernize any girls until you do their first remodel. Now, their first remodel is going to vary from girl to girl. For example, let's head on over. Let's find, where are you, Izuzu? Where are you? Are you really that low on the list? No, that can't be right. Are you currently out? Oh, here you are. So Izuzu gets her first remodel at level 12. And that's extremely low considering most girls get their first remodel at around level 20. Now, when a girl is remodeled, she will get brand new equipment and replace any old equipment she has currently equipped into your storage, which is a nice way to get equipment. For example, Izuzu gets, I believe, a radar at level 12, which is very nice. If you're lacking on radars, you may want to level up multiple copies of Izuzu there. So, yeah, that really is about modernization, really. So, we have 2 last tabs here to check. So this is your repair docks. As you can see, you only have 2. And luckily right now, nobody is damaged. So after doing this video, we'll go out on a sortie. Somebody is eventually going to get damaged, and you will see them get repaired. There really is not much. However, something you need to take into account is that repair time grows exponentially by the type of ship and by the level they have and whether they're awakened or not. It's actually a pretty crazy formula, but the basic gist is the higher level and the heavier the ship that they are, the longer they are going to take to repair. So, for example, a low-level destroyer, like say, well, any destroyer at level 1 is going to take around 15 minutes to get fully repaired. So if we're going to here, so let's see. Here, if Yayoi was completely damaged and only left with 1 hit point, she would take around 15 minutes to get fully repaired. I'm just guessing because that's the average time. However, Akagi here, oh boy, if she is completely damaged, she is going to take upwards of around 15 hours or more to get fully repaired. And now that I said that, you understand why your instant repair buckets are the most valuable item in the game. Because you do not want some of your best ships during an event to be away, being repaired and having to wait upwards of I don't know how many hours. Now, I do believe we can actually look that information up, but I'm too lazy to do that. I've heard horror stories that some of the larger ship girls can take upwards of 60 hours to get fully repaired. It is a nightmare, but anyway, moving on. Now, this is your construction page. This is where over here, where you construct more ship girls. So let's just construct one for the time being. But in order to get something out of this, let's see, do we have anything here? Craft a piece of equipment, excellent. So let's talk about that first. So this is the tab. This is actually not a tab. This just tells you can construct ships here. This is your scrap ship girls. Now, usually you do not want to do that because the amount of stuff you get back is absolutely abysmal. And honestly, it's a little sad. You're better off just modernizing them into other girls. This is how you create new equipment. And now the type of equipment you're going to get is going to depend on 2 things. The amount of resources you shove into the thing, so up to 300 of something, and the type of girl you have as your secretary, which in this secretary literally means the girl that you have as the flagship girl of the first fleet. Now, there are requirements to acquire certain things in the game. Now, so let's take a gander here. I usually have, what is it? Hold on, let me pull up my tabs here. Let's see, development, combat, expedition. Apparently, I did not keep that tab open. But anyway, if we go over here into the development page, which there's also a link in the description below. You can also get through the wiki. You will see that every single thing in the game, or most of them, can be crafted. And there are optimal recipes to get certain things. So right now, what are we lacking? Oh yeah, we're lacking more armor-piercing shells. So luckily we have KanColle as our secretary, which is good. And so what we want is 10, 30, 90, and 10. Interesting. Okay, so let's do that. So back over here, craft, so 10, 30, 90, and 10. And because we have KanColle, which is a battleship, as our secretary, we might get something. Now, you're not guaranteed to get anything when you do this. It's completely random. You can have the perfect recipe and fail. And we got absolutely nothing. I'm going to scrap that, usually.
Congratulations!
Unfortunately, that is just a regular cannon. Kind of pathetic, actually. So we'll scrap that. And now, onto construction, a ship girl. Just let me turn in this daily quest here, because the next one is to construct the ship girl. So I might as well get something out of this. There we go, construct the ship girl. Now, just as with constructing equipment, every girl has a certain optimal formula. So if we go back over here and we go into the construction page on the wiki, construction, there we go, you will see that this page is actually very, very, very big here. And as you can see, every girl has a different type or a different time of construction. Anywhere from 17 for a submarine, which is actually used with LSC, Jesus, all the way up to 8 hours for Yamato and Musashi. Yeah. However, you are not guaranteed to get anything because you use a certain formula. So if you go down here, you can see that for the destroyers in general, you only have a 1.47 chance of getting Shimakaze or Yukikaze or a submarine using this formula right here. So that is not good. So really, it's rolling the dice and gambling as to what you get. Now, I have mentioned large ship construction throughout this video. Large ship construction requires the input of literally thousands upon thousands of your resources for the chance, only a chance, at getting one of the better ships in the game, which require this thing. Now, this is not available right off the bat. You need to complete a couple of quests in order to unlock this. However, once you do, as you can see by the link in the description, you can go check it out yourself. The maximum recipe here is 5,000 fuel, 6,000 ammo, 7,000 steel, and 2,000 bauxite for a 5.24 chance of getting submarine I-401. Who are you? Oh, her. Yeah, so as you can see, inputting an infinite amount of resources will not guarantee you anything. You could import the perfect formula with a decent chance of getting something and get just a regular destroyer. So it is literally gambling. However, this is the only way to get certain ships in the game, like Taihos. But so, without further ado, let's build something. So what are we missing here? I'm missing a certain destroyer girl that I've gotten multiple times but did not know I actually wanted. So, let's see, what is the optimal recipe for a destroyer? We do not need any more submarines, and we can't unlock any of the Z series. Rare chance for more of those, and I've already got a 3 submarines. So the standard formula for destroyers is 30 of everything, which is the standard. Now, as you can see down here, you can say, I want it to build instantly, and this will use up one of your instant repair thingamajigs. You don't have to set it up here, but if you know you're going to instantly construct it, you can do that. This button right here is what will take you to the large ship construction. As you can see, you get a warning that I assume is warning you that you are not guaranteed to get anything and you require an input of a ridiculous amount of resources. As you can see, you can go all the way up to 7,000 of everything. And as you can see, instead of 1 fast construction material, you use up 10, and you can use between 1, 20, or 100 of your development materials. So yeah, you do not want to start doing that until you know exactly what you want and you have a decent fleet. So anyway, let's see what we get. Construct and 1 hour construction time. Now, because we know it's a 1 hour construction time, we can look on the list and see what we're going to get. Usually. Now, 1 hour construction time is for light cruisers of most class, Tenryukuma, Nagara, and Sendai class, and for a couple of ferry cruisers, Furutaka and Aoba class. However, we will not know who it is until it finishes. Now, once it starts, and if you look up into the time and you know you are going to get something you absolutely want, for example, the KanColle sisters all take 4 hours to construct, and if you're trying to get your first one and you see 4 hours, it is one of them, so you can do this and see who it is. Now, there might be some third-party apps out there that will tell you who it is, because I don't know how. So let's see, who is it? Hey, Isuzu!
いすずです。水雷戦隊の指揮ならお任せ。全力で提督を勝利に導くわ。よろしくね。
Okay, so another thing that the third-party program that I have, aside from translating most of the quests, it translates what the girls say, which is pretty much the entire point of the game, to meet pretty ship girls and see what they say. Honestly, that's what most of the game is about. But anyway, with that, we've seen everything here on the main wheel. So what is next? Ah yes, heading out into sorties. So give me a second. Okay, so we are going on to a sortie, are we? Well, if we're going to go into a sortie in order to show you how everything works, we might as well do something that is useful. So this is the fleet I currently have in order to have KanColle go up in their levels. And now you can organize fleets for all sorts of things. You can have an all-submarine fleet that will have a very easy time in certain maps, and so on and so forth, but that's a lot of going into details. But anyway, this right here, the first one on the right, is the sorties. This is where you fight against the Abyssal Fleet. It's how you'll be doing most of the time, leveling up, getting certain things. This is PvP. Now, if I load up the PvP tab, you will see that the opponents are randomly chosen from pretty much everybody in the world, from what I can tell. I am nowhere near their level. And yeah, now before you challenge them, you can take a look at their fleets. So give it a chance to load and you will see what you're going to fight against. Now this person only has her there because he's either raising her level or he wants everybody else to have an easier time defeating himself. So let's take a look at another fleet. As you can see, this guy has 5 ships in that fleet, and it is almost every submarine in the game. This can be extremely annoying if you don't have a good set of destroyers, but we are not going to be doing PvP. So let's head on over back to the sorties. I'll go over expeditions once we get out of the sortie. As you can see, the sorties are divided in a lot of worlds, and you need to beat the world before it in order to unlock the rest. Currently, I've only unlocked up to World 3, but I am in no rush to unlock any more worlds, because World 3-2 is probably the best world in order to get experience for ship girls to level them up, which is what we're going to do. There's also a very small chance of getting steel and a small furniture box, but because you need a certain fleet composition in order to go into certain nodes, we're really not going to get anywhere near those things. So something I should mention is that when you go into a sortie, the flagship of the fleet you are currently using will always get a bonus of experience at the end of each battle. And then the girl that did the most damage during the fight will also get even more bonus experience. So if your flag girl was the MVP, she's going to get around 200 or 300 extra experience. So without further ado, let's go into battle. Now, when this shows up, this means that there is a chance of going anywhere between the forked road that you are currently in. Now, I know we are going to head north because my ship currently does not have the required fleet composition to go anywhere else. And I've been doing this one for over 50 times now, and I always go north, as you can see. Now, as you can see on the map right there, this big red node, that is the boss. You must defeat the boss in order to advance to the next set in the world and to keep advancing. Now, this is a very important step of any battle. This is where you pick your formation for your fleet. Every single one has a bonus or something else. Now, this one and this one generally are the best ones to choose from. Now, this one offers the highest damage output, and that means the main guns of your girls will do 100% damage. This one is a little lower, but it increases the chance of your flagship taking less damage because it will increase the chance of the girls further down the list to intercept shots for her. This one right here is the most powerful anti-air formation. If you know you're going to be facing off against a lot of carriers, which hurt a lot by the way, you might want to click on this formation even if your damage goes down. Now this one, not many people know what it does. They think it's a type of defensive formation, but people don't really know what it does. And this last one over here is the most effective versus submarines. This only applies if you are using destroyers and light cruisers and light carriers, because they are the only 3 ships capable of firing on other submarines. And torpedoes from submarines can hurt a lot. However, in this Farley map, there is nothing of the sort, so we're going to go with maximum damage because we want to kill them before they kill us. Now, combat is divided into a lot of separate phases. And I mean a lot. There is an...
最新鋭の装甲空母の本当の戦い見せてあげる。
40問の魚雷は伊達じゃないから。全訪問ファイヤー!
So yeah, we completely destroyed them. But as you can see, a lot of stuff is happening during battles, and that wasn't even all the stuff that can possibly happen during a battle. So let me just go over the battle over and over again until I can explain everything that is going on. But anyway, because we destroyed everyone on the opposing fleet, we get an S rank. Now, the higher your rank, the higher your chance of getting a drop during that very specific map node, and some things require certain ranks in order to drop. So as you can see, the standard experience for this map is 320 experience for us, the admirals, 384 for every ship girl, and because Kongo is the flagship, she gets a bonus, but because Taiho did the most damage because, wow, that's something considering we have Kaga and Shouho here who are 40-something, the fact that she did the most damage is amazing. And she got basically twice the experience, so you can get, what would it be? Yeah, around 300 total experience if your flagship girl is your MVP. But anyway, once you beat a node, you have a chance to retire from the sortie, which we're going to do right now because this is the only node we do in order to level ships up, or to proceed further. Now, if you do not destroy everybody on the opposing fleet, this one will be replaced by a button that does not have this down here. That button means you pursue into night combat, and we get into more complex stuff. But anyway, I'm going to keep repeating the battle we just had and explaining things over and over. So the very first thing that happens in battle is recon, or what is called air superiority. Basically, every airplane that you can be launched will be launched. First scout planes, and then every carrier and every possible dive bomber, torpedo bomber, fighter, or special plane will be launched, and they will fight each other. And the person that has the best air superiority, usually with the one has the most fighters, will take control. Now, after that comes the initial phase, which you saw all the little planes flying out, launching torpedoes, dive bombing, and that killed out most of them. After that phase comes the preemptive torpedo phase, which you saw Oi and Kitakami do. Now, this is usually actually only available to submarines of level 10 or higher. However, submarines of level 9 or below and torpedo cruisers or anybody that can equip what is called a Type A mini-sub will also participate in this battle. Now, because Oi and Kitakami are torpedo cruisers, they can equip the mini-sub, and their torpedo power is pretty much very high, so they're excellent candidates for that. After that, the initial phase, you will get into the first shelling phase. Now, this is determined, the order this happens actually is determined by who has the longest range between allies and enemies combined. So usually Kongo, being a battleship, has the longest range on the street, so she'll attack first, if anything is even left, and then it'll go down the list of range between the guns every other girl has, and you may get critted, you may miss, you may take only 1 damage, and that's basically how it goes. After the initial shelling phase, there can be a second shelling phase if any of the two fleets have a battleship, fast battleship, or aviation battleship, or if the opposing abyssal fleet has certain types of princesses, that's what they're called, present in their fleet. And this makes it so that every other girl can attack a second round. Now, above that, there are also special attacks called cut-in attacks and double attacks. For example, because I'm still recording this and I can't remember what happened during that fight. For example, if a cut-in attack will do 150% damage, and a double attack will literally mean the girl fires twice in a row, and that does not guarantee anything, but it can increases your chance of a critical or something else. Now, after all of that is said and done, comes the second torpedo phase, which is technically the normal one. Here, anybody capable of launching torpedoes, that is destroyers, light carriers, torpedo cruisers, and submarines, will fire off their torpedoes at what seems to be a random target on the opposing side, and that will end the day phase. Yes, there is another phase, there is night combat as well. If your fleet fails to destroy the opposing fleet, you will have a choice to pursue, which will lead into night combat. Now, during night combat, there will first be an initial torpedo phase, I believe, and then will come another shelling phase, but in this case, it will alternate between the person at the top of your list and then the person at the top of the enemy list, and keep going down the list. Now, girls that have taken medium damage or more can no longer participate in battle, so they no longer shoot. The only exception to this rule, I believe, is Taiho, who can still launch planes with medium damage. Now, all other carriers can no longer launch ships if they even take light damage. So that makes her extremely powerful, which makes her one of the best carriers in the game. And once all of that is said and done, then the battle finally ends. However, that is not everything that happens during the battle that can happen. There are so many subtleties to combat, it is impossible to talk about all of them during this video. There are certain fights that require a certain line of sight. There's some battles that require artillery spotting, what is called. Then there's support sorties on certain maps. I'm gonna leave a link in the description down into the wiki. There's just so much. Combat can be so complex or so simple depending on how I look at it. But yeah, that was combat. And we're not even done with this video, so on to the next thing. Now, the last thing that is worth going over for new players are expeditions. So this one over here is our expeditions. Now, your first fleet cannot perform expeditions because it is the fleet that you will most likely have when going on sorties. However, fleets 2, 3, and 4 can always go on expeditions. Now, as you can see, expeditions vary greatly from the time it takes to complete them to the resources you can get there. However, certain expeditions require certain ships in order to be completed properly, and some even require a certain number of ships to carry oil canisters in order to complete them properly. However, the ones you want to focus on are Expedition 2. This one has a good chance of giving you a repair bucket. This is usually something I leave to this one right here. Now, you will notice that when I click on an expedition, it is not telling me that it requires something or other. This is something that can only be figured out through trial and error or looking at the wiki, which I highly recommend you do. For example, Expedition 3 requires any 3 ships, which is why I have, I believe, them here. They are only 3 ships. Now, your girls will get experience from this. It's not a lot, but it's something. One of the more advanced expeditions can grant them a lot of experience. The problem is that it also gets you Admiral experience. And that is bad because certain events, for example the extra maps at the end of every map and certain of the special events, increase the difficulty of the enemies depending on your level if you reach a certain tier. Those tiers being 40 and 80. So allow me to show you what I mean. Oh, actually hold on, let's just resupply here.
Yes!
So for example, if we head on over to map 1 and go to the first extra map here you're only going to face submarines, and when I was doing it, this is one of the better places for very, very, very early in the game to get experience for your destroyers. But I was only facing against normal enemies. Now, as soon as I hit 40, I started bumping into elite submarines upon the third battle, and flagship level enemies at the boss node. So that was like a rude awakening, unfortunately, because it got harder. And yeah. Now, the thing about these maps here is that the world, well, 1, 5, 2, 5, and so on and so forth, if you manage to clear them, they grant you 1 medal. That is, no, not there. Wrong tab. Where's our inventory? Is it this one? Yes. So when you clear that, you will get this medal. Now, you need 4 of these medals in order to buy 1 blueprint. And you need 1 blueprint in order to have the secondary model available for certain ship girls. So yeah, unlocking those maps and proceeding forward and clearing them, very important. So if you could reach World 1.5 early on and you have a good amount of destroyers, you might want to do that repeatedly. And they also go up a decent amount of levels. And really, I do believe that is all there is to say about the game. Oh, right. And like I'll probably put in an annotation near the beginning of the game, you must set your computer clock to Japan time, or no matter where you try to play, it will say connection error. So now that we said all of that, what is left to say? I guess all there really is tips for new players. So what can I tell you as a new player to a new player? Let's see, the most important thing is learn to be patient. And I mean that seriously. So let me load up one of my other fleets and head on to a node that I'm trying to clear for a weekly quest. Let's see, here they are. So let's head into battle one more time. Now, this is an excellent place to farm transport ships, and I need to kill 50 before the week ends. Hold on. Before I even do that, let me see if it might have reset already, which is very, very sad. It has reset. Oh well. But anyway, one of the tips that I can easily give you is learn to be patient. As I mentioned during a look at the repair docks, ships can take a very, very long time to repair, especially once they start leveling up and you start getting better ships. Yeah. So learn to be patient. Tip number 2 would be to constantly do, as soon as it's available, expedition number 2, which is the one that gets you number 2, which has a chance of getting you the repair bucket. This is how I have 84 of these things, and I still feel like it's not enough. Now, tip number 3 I can give you is don't ignore your destroyers. Now, I can completely understand wanting to build an extremely powerful fleet of nothing but battleships and carriers. However, battleships and carriers will not be able to clear map 1-5, which is the easiest map to get a medal in. So, if we go down here, I currently do not. But anyway, if we head back here, and we say we want to replace Taiko, as you can see, I've got several destroyers at pretty high level. We've got Hibiki, which is already part of this fleet, along with Akatsuki. We've got also Hatsuharu here, Shimakaze as well, Inazuma. Who else? Ikazuchi, Hatsushimo. You don't want to ignore your destroyers because they are the best, your best weapon versus submarines, and you will eventually bump into submarines. And if you ignore them and you suddenly reach higher level ones and you suddenly realize that the flagship is a submarine and you have no destroyers to take her out, you are going to cry because you will not be able to clear that map. So yeah, don't ignore your destroyer girls. Let's see, what else can I recommend? What other tip can I tell you? Oh yeah. Regarding expeditions, this is going to depend entirely on how much time you can play in one sitting. For example, if you have a 9-to-5 job, you could, in theory, get early to work, load up the game, send your girls on an expedition that will last the entire day, and then get home, load it up again, and your girls will be back with all the resources from that expedition. The reason I say this is because every expedition has a certain yield and a certain time length, obviously. If you head on over to the page on the wiki about expeditions, which I keep open all the time, you will see that for every expedition world, there is a total yield, an hourly yield, and the requirements. Now, the important part here is hourly yield. If you are able to play for several hours in one seating, then you probably want to use the hourly yield tab, because you're gonna be available there to receive your girls when they come back from a short expedition and send them off again. However, if you are only going to send them off at 9 in the morning after you get to your job, and then wait till you get home and send them off again, you might want to consider sending them on a longer expedition, let's say a 5 or 8 hour one. Now, these will have a much lower hourly yield of resources than the ones that are shorter. However, because you're not going to be able to send them constantly to that expedition, you want to make sure that you send them on the most profitable one possible. Just make sure you meet the requirements of those expeditions so you don't spend your time needlessly. And really, that is all the beginner tips I can think of. So yeah, that'll pretty much be it. So thank you for watching. I know it's a lot to take in. If you have any questions at all, honestly, ask them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them in another video. There is so much depth to this game, it is almost insane. And I haven't even participated in any of the special events, which get even crazier, which require certain ammo types on battleships. You need to send people on very specific expeditions so that they can fire torpedoes from far away without being in battle, and So yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time for more something later.